Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Strand. My name is Sabir, and I direct events here. For a little bit of history, Strand was founded in 1927 by the Bass family over on 4th Avenue's Book Row. Stretching from Union Square to Astor Place, Book Row gradually dwindled until after over 92 years, Strand is the sole survivor, still housing new and used books, still run by the Bass family, and hosting near 400 events a year. Tonight, Thank you. Tonight, we're excited to welcome Karamo Brown and Jason Rachel Brown for the launch of their new book, I Am Perfectly Designed. Well, here, no, we'll turn it over. Woo!
Wow, these chairs are amazing.
I know. Hi. What's going
friends,
on, everybody?
How y'all doing? So the weird thing is that everyone tells my son and I that we sound exactly alike. So everyone has to close their eyes and guess who's talking.
All right. Seriously, no. Close your eyes.
Do we sound alike? It's weird. I know. Thank you for coming out, friends. I appreciate this so much. This is so sweet of you all. I'm always nervous at these things. I'm like, no one's going to show up. Oh, that was a cute baby back there.
Oh,
so adorable. Oh, my gosh. Hi. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Yes. So anyway, thank you for coming and for purchasing our book.
yes. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. All right, New York. Thank you for the energy.
We're gone now.
Yeah, thank you.
You're awesome.
All right, y'all.
This was a really important and passion project for the both of us. So as everyone knows, Jason is my son, and when he was growing up, Jason was bullied for several reasons. One is that we did not have a lot of money. I work in social services before I got into TV, and anybody who works in teaching, social services knows they don't like to pay us, even though we work a lot of hours and give a lot of our time and energy. And so being a single father with two kids, wasn't able to get like the new clothes or shoes or toys, and kids get bullied for that. On top of that, his father
Was gay. My dad is gay, so that didn't go good in Texas at all.
Yeah. And so we were fine within the house, but like there was a lot of people who would make their comments, just young kids being irresponsible with their language because they didn't have parents who, were showing them that they need to be more responsible. And it affected him. And you also got bullied. I love what you said earlier today. It was the first time I heard it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So once we finally did get a little bit of coin, Dad started. I got a Christmas list set together, and I asked for like the rainbow set skinny jeans, and everyone used to like clown me and like bully me for that.
He did. He looked good in skinny jeans, though. I'm not gonna lie. You were ahead of the time. That's what people don't realize. There was a pair of purple skinny jeans that used to rock that I loved. Yeah,
I miss those.
Yeah. But anyway, he got bullied a lot, and there was a moment when I realized that he would come home and say things like, I wish I wasn't me, or I want a different life. And as a parent, that broke my heart, because you don't want to hear your child wishing that they weren't themselves or that they had a different life. And when I heard that, it made me think about when I was younger, I had those feelings and thoughts at some point as well. That where I was like, oh, I wish my life was different, or I wish that I had a different life or something else. And so instead of pretending like, oh, it's going to just get better, I was like, let me give him a mantra to help him to fight against these negative narratives and negative comments that he's getting. And it was, you are perfectly designed. And I would say to him, you are perfectly designed. You are enough. You are beautiful. What other people say to you does not define who you are and how special you are and all the gifts you have. And I was like, anytime you hear something that's negative, you got to just turn to yourself and just say to myself, I am perfectly designed, sort of to tune that out.
Yes. Completely, no, yeah, and it works for me still to this day, and it works for my friends. It works for anyone I tell this honestly to.
Yeah. So when I got the opportunity to write this book after my memoir, I was like, we got to write this book together, and it took us maybe a minute and a half to come up with what the title would be, because it was like it worked for you. It's something that I still say to myself as an adult, and I think many of us need to say to ourselves. And so we did a picture book together, and voila, that's why we're all sitting here. I am perfectly designed. Before we read it, just a little bit more background. We when writing this, I was not sweet Karamo from Queer Eye.
Oh no, he was not. He actually.
I didn't need a cosign on that. I did not need the quick cosign. I was really expecting him to be like, "No, Dad, you were sweet."
No.
Wow.
Just to be real with y'all.
But this was my son's first time ever embarking on something like this, and I wanted to make sure that he understood what a big privilege this was, to be able to have a book deal and write a book. Like, there are so many people who have trained for this. We're not trained writers and are still trying to get their first opportunity. And I was like, you're not going to just take this and be like, oh, great. You're going to work hard on this, and you're going to show up at every deadline, every call. I mean, I was hard, y'all. Like, it was not cute.
It was not cute at all. Not at all.
It was not cute. But he rose to the occasion.
And now look at me.
Well, y'all got to do that sometimes, because people will take it, be like, oh, this is just what it is. And I'm like, no. People, you got to work hard for this, because I'm a big believer you have to be so thankful for every opportunity and advantage you have, because at one point in our lives, we didn't have these advantages. And so now that they're here, you never want to just be like, oh, well, let me just half-ass it. Excuse the kids in here. Sorry. Is ass a bad word? Okay, good. I don't know, because the kids are older now, so there's words that I now are no longer on my bad word list. So any parents out there, if it's on the bad word list, just let me know, and I will course correct. But he did really great, and one of the things I'm really proud of is our amazing illustrator. If you've seen the book, Anush, is so dope, and we were just really said that we really want to make sure that this book was diverse and represented so many different people. And it was, you clapping? I saw it. Yeah, you clapping. He wasn't really, but it looked like he was clapping, so I was going to go with it. And so, like, that was really important to us, because I have interacted with parents who have come up to me and been like, oh my gosh, like, until, Queer Eye came out, my kids had never seen gay guys. And I was like,
Yeah. Like, what?
You should.
That's a little.
Sure, your kid has.
Yeah.
You just didn't have the conversation with them. Okay, I understand. But, like, giving them an opportunity to at least be exposed at a young age to diversity through these images, I think was really important for us. And so I'm just really wanting to highlight that and shout that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely.
Anything else you want? Thank you. Anything else you want to shout out before we read?
You guys in here are all perfectly designed.
If you're going to do it right, and do it how your father would do it, okay?
Hi, friends. If you guys all in here are perfectly designed.
Wrong. There you go.
Oh, turn to your neighbor.
Hey, let me show you how to do it, youngin.
Do it.
Since you want to do that, hey, friends, I want you to go ahead and turn to your neighbor right now and say, neighbor.
Neighbor.
Y'all can do better than that. Say, neighbor.
Neighbor.
I am
perfectly
designed.
You don't
never forget that, okay? All right, so we will start reading. We tried this for the first time the other day, and it didn't work.
Let's get it right this time.
Yeah, we will. Right. First of all, also, thank you to the Strand. This is a bookstore that I am just in love with. Thank you for hosting us. Like, seriously, shout out to everyone who works here.
No, seriously.
If this
is an amazing opportunity.
If this is your first time at the Strand, which I'm assuming it's not, this is like the dopest place in the world. Like, I could get lost here for hours when you're in New York. Like, it's just amazing. So thank you, Strand. So when you open the book,
okay. Oh my God.
So I put a little Easter egg that everyone has been finding online. I had to put my babies in there. That's Anthony, Jonathan, Tanny, and Bobby. Fun story. Jonathan was pissed. Tanny was excited. Let me tell you why. Jonathan was like, girl, you can put me in heels? And I was like, girl, I didn't draw this, okay? I didn't know. He wasn't really upset. It was like a fake upset. And then Tanny was like, love, you made me tall. And I was like, because he's the shortest out of all of us? That was a horrible UK accent, British accent, I'm sorry. It was really bad. But he was like, thank you so much. And so both of them were the only two. Anthony and Bobby were both like, hey, this is cute. And I was like, okay. But I thought it was important because the minute that I got, on Queer Eye, they became part of my family and were always with the kids and everything else. And so I was like, we got to put a little Easter egg because,
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Excited for that.
I love
Easter
you,
egg.
front row, okay? Travel with me. You really? When? I speak baby, y'all. Y'all didn't know. We was having a conversation. I know. That one's I had to poop. I know that one. All right, we'll go on. So that was that. You want to read the dedication?
Sure. All right, you guys. So this book is dedicated to every child and adult who has ever felt different or not good enough. You can have the life you want and deserve because you have the tools to attain it. You are perfectly designed, and please never forget that.
Love KB and JB. That's KB, JB.
Right.
All right. So go on.
First, there was you, Dad.
Then there was me. No, wrong. See, we did it wrong again. You say both of these.
Right. Okay. Let's get it right. Okay.
This is what we did last time. I'm like, because we don't read the book out loud normally.
Yeah.
I'm normally reading it to myself. And so every time we start reading this, I get confused on who's who.
Yeah. Okay.
Bear with us.
All right. Here we go.
All right. There you go.
First, there was you, Dad. Then there was me.
Mm-hmm. And now there is us.
That's right. Now there is us.
We're gonna get better. We're gonna get better.
I seriously thought this was you, but okay.
I did. I said that. That's right. Now there is us.
Oh, okay.
Next page.
When you first saw me, you said he is.
And he wrote
perfectly
this, by the way.
designed.
Okay. Just in case y'all are wondering. These words, I said, find some memories that happened between us when we were kids, and let's put them into words, and then we'll condense them together and figure out how to do it. So he wrote these original words based off of memories, and so
We got it. We got it now.
You got it now. Okay.
And now there is us.
No, that's right.
You read it. Read it over.
That's right. Now there is us.
When you first saw me, you said he is perfectly designed from his head to his toes.
And I meant every word and still do.
Do you really?
I do.
Aww. When I was a baby, I looked just like you, only I had no hair and you had lots.
Now it's the opposite. So true.
My favorite page.
That was your favorite page?
Yeah.
The page where you throw shade?
A little bit, yeah.
It's true.
The first thing I remember is being carried on your shoulders while we walked all over the city. Remember that? I had such a big baby head.
Indeed, but your big baby head was perfectly designed for you.
Oh.
We'll just stop right there. Side note, because we told this story earlier. So my sister, my second oldest sister, who is a little shady, used to say to him all the time, "Come here, big head." And literally, I was like, you're going to give my son a complex calling his head big. And so I had to literally say, listen, you do not have a big head. Your head is perfectly designed for you, and it's beautiful. These are true stories of, like, what you're reading here. And now she saw the book, and she was like, I'm so sorry. I did not. I just thought I was giving him a nickname. I was like, by giving him a complex. But I digress. It's in a book now.
Yes,
so.
yes. And my new nickname is Munchkin. So
Now they're calling it Munchkin. I'm like, okay. Can't y'all just say, hey, cutie, or like, we love you, nephew? But anyway.
All right. When I was real little, I thought you could touch the moon. Remember that? We'd sit on the roof and reach for it.
One day you'll be big enough to reach it yourself, but until then, it's perfectly fine to ask for help.
Remember when we went at Syrup and Waffles for Halloween, Dad?
I do.
That was so awesome. I wonder what will be this year.
What were we this year?
Nothing.
I know. That's my fault, because he tried. He was like, Dad, can we dress up? And I was like, I'm sorry, son. I'm busy. Note to parents, make time for what's important, because I should have dressed up. And then we'd had a cute story to tell you right now. But we didn't.
When I run in the park, jump in the park, climb trees in the park, and I can pretend I'm a statue in the park, I remember that I am perfectly designed to explore the world.
You are, and you always will be. Now, the part about this illustration that's wrong is that I used to pack the lunches, and we never pack salads.
Never.
But we all thought it would be a better choice than Skittles and Coca-Cola. So salad it is. Please.
Sometimes, Dad, when I get mad or sad or confused, you wrap me in your arms, and I like it.
Me too. And I remind you that you are perfectly designed and wonderful, no matter what you are feeling.
Dad, when I grow up and leave home, will you miss me?
What you just did, yes, very much.
Will you go into my room and play with my race cars and stuffed animals?
I know, you know I will.
Which you don't. Will you set the fire escape and feed the pigeons like we do in the summer?
The pigeons and the sparrows.
Will you remember our favorite movies?
I will, and I'll invent some new ones too. Our favorite moves.
Moves?
I'm like,
Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm sorry.
it has been. We've been up since 6.
Dad, will you always think of me?
Always.
You know what, Dad?
What?
I will always remember walking through the city and sitting on your shoulders. And maybe when you're older and I'm taller, I can carry you on mine because we are perfectly designed for each other.
That's right.
Aww. And then, hold on, we're not done. Don't say that. Say that.
We're not finished yet.
I got a little message I want to read you guys I wrote. Dear reader, it's always been a dream of mine to write a story inspired by the many lessons my father has taught me. When I was growing up, anytime I felt fear or uncertainty, my father would remind me that I was perfectly designed. Knowing that at an early age really instilled self-love and confidence in me, which had been hard for me to find on my own. Now that I'm older, it's easier to walk with my head held proudly. My father and I felt that this was only right to give this message to you. We want readers to never forget that just being your natural self is perfect. It's beautiful in every sense. We know how hard it is to think otherwise, but you cannot stop telling yourself this until you feel it. Like everything in life, it takes some time, but with repetition, you will learn to walk with your head held higher than the Eiffel Tower.
That's exactly right. That's a picture of us at one Christmas. He's clearly taller than me now. So that's our little picture book.
It is.
Yes, I'm very proud of it. You know, this book is. Let's let that go by. Y'all can still help me. Again, this is really important, and what I've realized since the book has come out and I've been getting direct messages is that it's not only young people who have been saying, "Wow, I read this to my child, but I realized I needed this too," because one of the things I say. And, you know, I like to drop nuggets on y'all, so y'all gonna get a couple Karamo-isms, okay? I'm not gonna Karamo y'all, so y'all ain't gonna leave here crying, but you're gonna get a couple of Karamo-isms. But honestly, one of the things that is true, and this is not my own saying, I took it from someone else, but comparison is a thief of joy. And I think all of us find it in a place where we find ourselves comparing how we look, what we have, or what we do to someone else. And when you compare yourself to someone else, you're tearing down the beauty that you are. You're forgetting the roadmap that has made you who you are, that creates this beautiful illustration of your life and of you. And so let's do this right now. We're going to start again. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor.
Neighbors.
Comparison
Comparisons
is the thief
is the thief
of joy.
of joy.
And so I say that to say you have to remind yourself in moments of doubt to not compare yourself and to remind yourself that you are perfectly designed, even as adults. Because what I know to be true, just like young people, just like kids who are on social media and who are getting negative messages constantly, and I want you to talk about that a little bit, I can speak from an adult perspective. I can't tell you, Jesus is my witness, how many times I walk out of my house feeling so cute, like my outfit is on point. I'm like, oh, my skin is right today. I am feeling like I'm about to conquer this day. And then I will get a call from my mother, who I love, and she'll say something to me. And I'm like, girl, you just knocked me down 4 pegs. Okay, great. Let me try to keep on pushing. And then I'll get to work. And then someone will say, oh, is that what you thought to do today? And I'm like, wow, I felt really good about that 10 minutes ago. But all right, now I'm knocked down again. And then I'll just keep getting knocked down. Anybody else in here experience that? Please raise your hand so we all know we're not alone. Thank you. And I think that's why it's important for us to practice taking those negative messages out of our mind and fighting against them, because the world is fighting to make us believe that we're not enough, that we're not perfectly designed. And if you can, so adorable. If you can fight against that and not compare yourself and believe in yourself, it's so much better. The sun is going to feel like it's shining so much brighter, and you're going to feel so much better about who you are and what's going on in your life.
I would have to just say about the social media aspect of that too, especially with peers my age and just kids. We are falling way too hard for like these false images and lives that we think we need to have. And it's causing a lot of suicides and out there, and people just need to really remember that who you are naturally is cool. Like, you are enough. Like, forget who else is out there. Like, you are enough. You are perfectly designed.
I'm ready for 2020 to do an expose on all these influencers on social media, because I've met a couple living in LA and coming out to New York, because they have these things like where people will like put celebrities and influencers together because you have a certain amount of followers. Mm-hmm. And I get excited to meet them because one of my things, my fiance's here, he'll tell you this is true. Hi, fiance. My other son is here too. Hi, Christian. It's a whole family affair. My best friend's here. It's a whole family affair. Anyway, we will meet these influencers, and because I watch like beauty and makeup and hair videos, it like de-stresses me. I like watch hours of them like to de-stress after a long day. Like, I don't even wear weaves, but like I could literally fix your weave with no problem because I watch so many weave tutorials and makeup tutorials. Like, I have so many blending brushes and things that I don't even use, but Halloween. Oh, Halloween. Thank you. So we got these. I'm digressing, but I'm gonna get back to the story. We got these $20 wigs from, you got the CVS. Yeah. They were cheap and tacky and tired. His was like, they so wrong. His in the photo was all cute and purple, and he was like, oh, this is gonna be cute. We got it. It was a mess. It was 4 different colors. Mine was supposed to be a blonde chic situation, and we were like, what are we gonna do? I literally was like, get me some scissors, get me some bobby pins, get me some spray. We went to CVS, and I hooked those wigs up, and he was looking at me like, what is going on? And I was like, it's all those weave tutorials.
Wow, that is crazy.
Like, right?
That's amazing.
But to get back to the story, I meet these influencers, and I'm like, I've never been on a private jet. I've never flown first class until 3 years ago when like Queer Eye happened. I was like, oh my God, this is what first class is? He just flew first class for the first time yesterday because I won't pay for it. You got to earn it. I didn't get it until I was 36. You ain't getting it like, what? First book, you went first? Like, come on now. And so I'm meeting like a couple of people, I'm not gonna say their names, and in their photos, they're like on private jets and like whatever. And they pull up in like, and this is no shade because I had a 96 Accord too, but they pull up in the 96 Accord, and I'm like, well, I thought you was in private jets. And they're like, no, I just get on them and take photos. Literally. I would say 90% of the social media influencers who have these large followings that people follow, do not have it like that. There's someone who does makeup. I'm not going to say their name, but I went to their storage facility where they keep all of their makeup products, and there was nothing but empty boxes. And they said they show the empty boxes, and then based on the sales is how they try to order them. And I was like, well, you got everybody thinking that like you just got warehouses of boxes. And I'm like, that sends the wrong impression. Let people know like you're nervous and you're trying your best, and like be real. You know what I mean? And they're like, no. And I'm like, see, that's the problem.
Like, really, that's the problem.
That's literally really the problem, because you then have some little kid in Iowa or in Texas or in New York or in California who is trying to live up to this standard that you're not even living up to. And I think it's sad, because we're in a time now where these false ideals are hurting people. And there's a saying that I do live by, and I believe this. We all know it, fake it till you make it, and I don't believe in that. I believe you should ask for help until you make it. Because we've gotten to a place where like we're so willing to say, pretend like we know what we're doing, pretend like everything's okay, and it's hurting us all. So I would rather ask for help on how to get what I want, ask for help on how to get over what I can't, which is a roadblock to me, ask for help so that I can actually have the life that I deserve. So turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, no more faking it till you make it, only asking for help until you make it. All right, just a little Karamoism, just dropping it for y'all. Don't do it.
Drop it on y'all head like that.
So thank you so much we're not leaving, but thank you so much for listening to our book. Yeah, thanks for best friend for clapping. I appreciate that. So what we want to do right now is we want to open it up for questions from you all. We would love to open up the first set of questions if you have any questions about us, this process for this book, for our family. And then after we do a couple of those, if you have any like other questions for me about like Queer Eye or anything you want, I'm there for you. We see your hand. So yes.
Yep.
Hey.
Be
What's your name?
Dolores.
Hi, Dolores.
I wanted to know if this was going to be the beginning of a series for you both.
It's so funny because our editor is in here, and I'm like, we have a plan. I know. I'm like, we have a plan for this to be serious. Okay.
We have a plan.
Okay. Yeah, good. Because we're already working on another one.
Yes.
Which we're really excited about. Jason actually came up with the idea because I'm so proud of like the wealth of knowledge and what he's doing with this and how serious he's taking it.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you.
And so the second idea was like a continuation of this sort of mantra, but also would show another side of our family dynamic. And so it's good that we just kind of got the half okay. I ain't gonna hold y'all to it until contract time, but we want to make this a series because we had a lot of fun doing this, and we really think we can. Yeah. Yeah. Hi. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
How long did this take? Like, how long was this in the making?
Oh, yes. You want to grab me a mic, guys? And I'm so sorry. You all were supposed to be, I didn't see you all, so they were supposed to be passing the mics around, and so I'm sorry. They're going to start passing the mics around, so I apologize. So the process for us to do this was not long. What, a month?
Like, what do you mean?
Like to write the whole book and do everything?
Yeah.
Well, it was about a month. The illustrations took longer because the illustrator Anush is amazing, and we got so many samples of like what her work was, and me as a character looked different 3 times.
Yeah.
So like once I had a little hair, little Jerry curl like situation. And I was like,
no, we gotta stay true to the character.
No, I'm
to
not
that bald head.
Yeah. And then like I think once I had a T-shirt on, I didn't have a bomber on. I was like, y'all put me in a bomber. You know what I mean? And so it was like little things like that. But I think for the writing part of it, it was pretty quick because we're pulling from our own life and own experience. And what we realized is that we could have written a memoir about what we've been through as father and son and the lessons that he's taught me and I've taught him. But this condensed version was a lot quicker of like where the story wanted to go. Yeah.
He also didn't help me out with this, like writing and all that at all. So, yeah, it took me like a month on writing.
He's lying. I held a little.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hi, Karamo.
Hi.
My name is Kim.
Nice to meet you, Kim.
You too. Oh my gosh. I love you. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, thank you. Love you
This is
too.
a personal question. Thank you. This is
Yes.
a personal question about your skin because even from all the way back here, you have amazing skin. Yes. So before we leave tonight, I hope I can get the name of your dermatologist if that's not natural.
Okay. I'm going to
If
tell you
that's
the
the
name of my
case, but-
dermatologist is Tap Water.
Oh my gosh.
It's right in your house. He comes to you. It's really good. Yes. So right now, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I have a light bead on. If you don't know what a light bead is, it means like you know what a light bead is, right? Okay. It's just like a little bit of makeup, a little foundation. You know, we were doing press all day. But normally, I use water and ice on my skin. I don't use anything else. So ice takes down inflammation, takes down redness. It's free. I like the things that are free. And then water. You know, luckily I didn't have a lot of big, pimples or black spots already. So also I use a lot of sunscreen because, especially people of color, we think that you don't need sunscreen. You know, that's for white folks. I can't tell you how many times I heard that growing up. Why you put on sunscreen? You ain't white. And I'm like, girl, because the sun still touches my skin.
Right.
And it might not get to me as quick as my white fiance, but it's going to get to me.
It's gonna hit you.
So I'm going to put on sunscreen. So cue to everybody in here of color, put on sunscreen. It's cute for you. You know what I mean? Right? Clap for that. Clap for that.
Clap it up.
Yeah. And so I don't really put a lot on my skin because I think when you start doing a lot of products, it's the irritation. And then when I do put makeup on, I use fragrance-free makeup wipes, and then I immediately put the ice on to take down any inflammation as well. And that's an old Hollywood trick. I learned that from the old girls. They've been doing that a long time ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you both. This is really beautiful. And
Thank
the book
you.
it's such a simple message that people need.
Thank you.
The question is for Karamo and Jason, both of you.
You can call me Rachel. You can call me Rachel.
When in your coaching, do you find that this is the same theme that people need to hear? You've seen so many people who have needs. Is this the message? Is this the one message that people tend to need?
I wouldn't say that it was. Thank you for your question, first of all. I wouldn't say it was the one message, but it is at the core of a lot of the messages I have to give, because most of the people that we're helping, their self-esteem is affected because of something that has happened in their life. And on Queer Eye, for me, I have 4 days to figure out what that is. I'm like, no shade. My Bobby works the hardest out of all of us. I'm not ashamed to say it, okay? He works very hard. Because let me tell you something. If y'all told me to go build a house, I'd be like, girl, bye. You're moving into a hotel at the end of the week. You would not have a new home. And so, but, I relatively have something hard because I don't get any background information. So it's like 4 days and you come in their house and I'm like, so why are you sad? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, let's figure it out. We have a little bit of time. And at the core of it's normally some type of self-esteem. There's somebody usually in their life at some point that impacted them and made them feel bad about their weight, about their skin tone, about how they look, about the career they chose, about the partner they chose, and it affected how they were moving through the rest of the world. And so I do believe I Am Perfectly Designed is part of that message, because at the end of every Queer Eye episode, we always are telling them, you were enough always. Like, we don't call ourselves a makeover show. We do a make better, because it's never our intention, other than Tanny, I'm not gonna lie, to she's rude, but I love her to death. It's never any of our intentions to truly change someone. He actually will throw out people's entire wardrobes, and it's like, I don't want to do another British accent because it was horrible the first time. But we call Tanny our little vile queen, and he loves it. If you post that, he'll say, yes, I am. But because he'll go into someone's house and say, no, this is horrible. This is horrible. I'm just going to throw away the whole thing and start brand new. Where the rest of us are normally like, no, girl, you don't have to start new. You already had the building blocks. We're just going to add to it. And so by the end of it, we're like, you were already perfect. You already had it. You just forgot or you didn't believe. And so, yes, in that essence, this is a reoccurring theme, but it's not the main theme of what I realize that I'm usually working with, you know. A lot of us are dealing with a lot of trauma that has happened from our childhoods that we are not dealing with. Lord knows I was one of those people. Lord knows he was one of those people before I got him. Okay? You gotta figure it out and be willing to talk about what's going on.
Oh my God, hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering, do you have any mantras that you can tell people who aren't as emotionally aware to kind of get them to open up a little and like understand like how they feel within themselves, like how you try to get people to, you know, open up?
So if there's someone who doesn't talk about their emotions,
Who like aren't emotionally aware, like, you know how you know, like you showed I Am Perfectly Designed because you know that because of how people treated your son, they, you know what I mean?
yeah, so if they're not emotionally aware, something that we could say to them to get them to be emotionally aware.
Yeah, like, or even like be able to think about it, I guess.
Yeah.
I could say. Sorry, I'm nervous.
Well, I don't know if I haven't thought about a mantra for that. So I wish I was that mantra guy.
There you
Like,
go.
I'm not that quick. That's our Johnny. Johnny would have a catchphrase right now for you. Y'all be saying yes. I'm a little bit more of a deep thinker. I don't have a mantra I would say to them, but if you have someone that's in your life who's not emotionally available or emotionally aware, and you can tell that that may be a challenge for them or is stopping them from having the life they want, they deserve, that they want, I think a good tip for you is to take them to a side, first of all, and help them to acknowledge their feeling. So don't tell them what they're feeling, because I can't tell you how many times I hate when people come to me and be like, you're sad today. And I'm like, girl, no, this... You might think this reads sad, but now it reads aggravated. Yeah. Because glad I need you coming up to me telling me, you know what I mean? Like that I'm sad today or like whatever. Or like if I'm not feeling well and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not feeling well. Don't ask me 14 more times, like, what can I do? Because you're just making me feel worse. Like, just give me my space. But I think in the sense of this, is taking them to the side and saying, hey, I would love to talk to you about your emotions, and give them the opportunity to say yes or no. Because I think a lot of times we force what we think other people need on them instead of giving them the ability to say yes or no. We all should always have a decision in what is happening in our lives and the conversation we're engaging in. And so if you really want to help somebody be more emotionally available and emotionally aware, let them, first of all, be open and decide if they want to make that choice. Most of the time, if you step them aside in a private situation, they'll be like, what are you talking about? That's your invitation to say, well, I noticed you might have been sad the other day. I don't want to assume, but I would love to, help you to acknowledge it. And they might be like, well, I don't know if I was sad, and then be like, just listen. Because what happens is most people, we want to start solving. It's just human nature. Someone tells us their problem and immediately we want to solve it and tell them what to do, how to do it, when to do it so they can be better. And most people don't need that. They just need an empathetic listener. So if you really want to help somebody be emotionally aware, be an empathetic listener to them and give them an option to be a part of that conversation. Sorry, it wasn't a mantra, but it's some clear steps. Okay, good.
I was going to say just give him a cookie.
I would take a cookie, okay?
Like I have to regroup myself before I get emotional.
Yeah.
Like you are a blessing.
Oh, thank
You are
you.
a blessing because it takes a special kind of person to have the gift of discernment.
Thank you.
Working in the social service field, like we don't get paid a lot. But not only is it social service, it's human service. And when I heard, like, Queer Eye is my show.
We live for Queer Eye.
Queer Eye to Japan is on my phone right now. But at first, I never understood. Now I understand why they have you go last. Because I can show you how to cook. I can show you how to fix a house. I can show you how to get a French tuck. but I can't show you how to unearth what you've hidden for so long. Takes a special person to do that. And then to be a person of Caribbean descent.
Yes.
I pay attention.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Miss Honey, we know the things, right?
Yes.
And then we not supposed to have any flaws.
Yeah.
To be who you are, I applaud you.
Oh, thank you. Can I come and give you some love?
Aww.
She about to make me cry. Sweet. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. You more than you ever understand. Because, you know, when this journey first started with Queer Eye,
Tearing up.
I was. That was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it made me. Yeah. Oh. I know. It was sweet. You know,
That was
it was
very
kind.
sweet.
I mean, like, you know, it's very. I think it's important to pass on positivity when people, like, you know, I've taught you this. When I see somebody, I love to give them a compliment that I mean, and not just on the physical. Like, if they're nice or if they were kind, like, I just try to tell them something about who they are that is really, really nice. And so I appreciate that, and it touched me. But to be very honest with you all, when I started this Queer Eye journey, most people did not understand during season 1. Would you say season 1? Season 2, maybe 2? Yeah, it started getting better season 2. People were like, what does he do? They were like, we understand what the other ones are there to do. And it's because the title culture was so misleading. It was like, how do you culture somebody, especially if you're not like taking them to a restaurant or showing them a piece of artwork? And so it was just a throwback to the old title. And so it was hard for me because people were like, what is your purpose? And I'm like, I'm fixing their hearts. I'm fixing their minds. Like, y'all don't see the 14-hour conversations I have. Like, my field trips are the longest out of all the guys' field trips. So if you ever watch, sometimes I'll be talking to somebody and it's daytime and all of a sudden it's nighttime. Because I just can't come in 2 minutes and be like, hey, so let's, I'm like, we got to chat. So let's talk. And it's special for me when people get what I'm doing and what I'm trying to help people through. And obviously you all are here for that. And so you understand. So that's why it was special to me. And I'm so thankful. And that wasn't a pity party. I'm very happy where I'm at in life. Okay. But it just was my own personal thing. You know, and we live in an age again where, you know, the show came out and people, they were like, oh, this is so great. What does this guy do? What is he here for? And I was like, oh, y'all don't get it yet, but you will, girl. You will. Just wait and see. So thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
What's going on?
First of all, this book, I just read it. It's so beautiful. And I'm actually in a creative writing program studying children's literature. And just like, it's not easy. Like, first of all, just like props to you both.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yo, I would have thought it would have been so much easier to write a children's book.
No.
Yo, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, gotta give props. And your family is so beautiful, and your
Thank
message
you.
is so beautiful. So, and just like as a writer myself, like, how do you get past the difficulty of it, of not feeling good enough, of being scared? Like, I'm still in that stage where everything I write is still in the beginning process. So I feel like, I'm not gonna say curse word. There's kids present.
Yes.
But
I feel you though.
so like, how do you? I want to keep working and keep pushing past that, but it feels like I'm just like, I have to build the bricks as I go, as I'm climbing, and it just feels so tiring sometimes.
Yeah. What you're experiencing, first of all, congratulations on the class and what you're doing. And what you're feeling is something that we all feel. Because I think it's important to acknowledge that you're not alone in that. It doesn't make it any easier. But the fact that you can open up about that, somebody else in here is like, I'm going through that same thing. It might not be with writing, but they're going through it in some other area. And the thing is that most of us are taught to make fear-based thoughts when it comes to ourselves and not love-based thoughts. And what I mean by that, you're taught to think early on, from elementary school, from middle school, from high school, that what I'm doing, people aren't going to like. You're taught immediately to second guess everything you do. And And that, as you become older, starts to penetrate into your passions and the things you're doing. The truth of the matter is that what you're writing, every bit of it is great. And you have to remind yourself of that. The second thing you have to do is remind yourself there is an audience for you. So what you're doing is when you start to say, is what I'm writing good? Is it good enough? You turn that fear-based thought into, this writing is good enough because somebody needs to hear it. And what I thought to myself, even when we were writing this, when I was writing my memoir, is if long as it reaches one purpose, then I've done exactly what I was, or one person, then I've done exactly what I was supposed to do. And when you write, your writing is going to reach someone, and that one person is going to be inspired, is going to fall in love, is going to feel as if they're courageous. They're going to feel all these things because of your words. And so if you can turn that fear-based thought into a love-based thought, you're going to always be great. And I know it takes work. So I know it's easier said than done of just being like, okay, tomorrow, great, this is for someone. But if you practice saying to yourself, no, my words are good and it's going to affect one person, you'll be all right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. We're going to do it again real quick. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor.
Neighbor.
Turn your fear-based.
Turn your fear-based
Thoughts. Into love-based. Thoughts. There you go.
I said thoughts.
Y'all kind of got weak on that last thoughts, but it's all right. Y'all get the point.
This is going to be our last question for the night.
Oh, sorry.
Hi,
I
my
was
name
having
is
fun with
Bree.
y'all.
Hey, Bree. What's going on?
So this is a question for both of you. Sorry, I'm short. Y'all want me to stop?
No, you're good.
This is a question for both of you. What was the process like working with a family member, right? So like you working with your dad and then you working with your son in a professional setting?
So to answer your question, it was exciting, but my dad did not let up. Meaning, like, if I wanted a day off, if I wanted to take some time, no. We have a deadline. You need to make these calls. You need to do this. You need to pick the artwork. He was very much so like.
Anybody in here blaming me for that?
No.
Okay,
no.
thank you. You know what I'm saying?
Look, and
You
this
ain't
is not a
gonna get
pity.
no pity for
Hold on,
that,
hold on. This is
all
not a pity party.
All
This is not a pity party because I stepped up to the occasion and
You
now
did step
we are
up.
here.
Yes, you did
but,
step up.
And to answer your question, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay.
I love how the voice. It was okay.
It was okay. Yeah, it was okay. What about you?
I was nervous. I think anytime you mix family and business, it can be a hard situation because what happens is that things start to get blurred and you get nervous of like, is this going to affect the relationship I have? And for me, we have a very close relationship. We had one before the book, and I was like, I don't want 20 years from now, us to be in a therapy session and then the therapist be like, so when did this all start? And we'd be like, with that damn book, excuse me, kid. You know what I mean? I just did not want that. And so what I learned and I tried to do is I tried to make sure that I set clear boundaries. And this is something that we can all work on in our lives and in all of our relationships, with work relationships and friendships, is to set the terms of the boundaries and have conversations consistently about if the boundaries need to change. So for instance, if, say, for instance, something happened with writing the book or with an email that wasn't sent that never reached the dinner table or that never reached when he would call me about his apartment or something else, I never blurred the two. I was like, this is at work and this is at home. Mm-hmm. And that's hard because like I would get home and I'd be upset about something that didn't happen and I'd want to like bring it up and I'd have to practice every day and saying, you know what, the boundary's already been set. I'm not going to talk about this. And if we were going to talk about it, I would say, hey, let's get a call tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and we're now back on business terms. And that was really important for me because when you can set boundaries with those personal relationships that are turning into work relationships as well, you start not to bleed in. But you have to really practice it, and you have to check each other.
I didn't check him as much.
Well, I didn't step outside the boundaries that much.
No one did.
Yeah, so we did good with it, which I think is also important. But also, secondly, on top of that, it was about communication, and communication was so important. And when I say communication, I mean a lot of times, and this is not just working with family. This is also in your relationships with your boyfriends, your girlfriend, whoever, with your kids. what happens is that we get into a place where over time, say 3 months, 6 months, a year, 10 things have annoyed us. And then there's one day when all of a sudden you decide, this is the day I'm going to let you know all 10 things. And now you're in an argument. And now that argument has went on, your partner might be confused, or they might have 10 things about you, and now y'all both arguing, and y'all are just down this spiral, and that's when people start to find themselves breaking up or saying you're not the one and all these things. And I'm not saying if you know in your heart a relationship's not healthy for you, you should always move on. But if you feel in your heart that it actually could work, a big tip for you is when you come to the table, don't bring all 10 things that's been stewing in your mind. Talk about one thing and do not move on to something else until you finish that one thing. I mean, it is so important because if you start to try to talk about 3 things at once, you're not solving the first thing. And now you've muddled because now all 3 things are kind of combined and you're like, well, what are we talking about? Are we talking about that I didn't talk to your mama one day, or that I didn't pick you up at work, or what is the issue really here? And so you have to make sure you break it down. And if you don't know how to break it down, a good tip for everybody, because I'm good with tips. Ever seen Queer Eye? I'm good with some tips. Write down what your issues are and give them to a third party you trust. And then allow that third party to be there, not to give their opinion, but to say, today, y'all should just talk about the T-shirt incident. And that way, the third party can say, you're starting to bleed into another issue. Because sometimes we can't hear when we're bleeding into a second or third issue, and that's why things get convoluted in our relationships, because we're focusing on too many things. And just like walking, if you try to take 2 steps at one time, you're going to fall over. But if you take 1 step at a time, you'll get to the place you need to be. And the same thing with your relationship. And so I would just try that. I'm telling you, it works for me. He couldn't stand it when we first started getting together. He'd be like, why am I writing down my issues? And I'm like, you're going to write down these issues. Or that's going to be the next issue on the issue list. So write down the issues, or we're going to have a problem. And then we have very healthy communication, and we don't have a lot of arguments at all because, am I right? Because you kind of gave it like a, the issue. Oh, yeah, no. So, yeah, we don't have a lot of issues because literally when we have a combo, I'll say, let's just talk about this one thing. And let's solve this. And that might take a week to solve, or 3 months to solve, or a year to solve. But we're not going on to other things. And then we're also not forgetting what someone else said and what their problems were, because it's written down. And I can go back, okay, great. 6 months ago, you told me this was issue 2. Whew, girl, I'm ready. Let's go for it. You know, and that's a really healthy way to set boundaries and also communicate on each thing, so that way you don't have issues with family. I know that wasn't fully your question, but I thought I'd give you some tips in there as well. Yeah.
That's what it's like working together.
That is what it's like working together.
I just want to say.